Abby Honold says Daniel Drill Mellum laughed the entire time he raped, tortured, and mutilated her body.
Is fear a strong enough word for how you felt that day?
I don't know a strong enough word for what I was experiencing.
The 19-year-old student did everything a rape victim was supposed to do. She went to the hospital and reported the assault to Minneapolis police. Hours later, Daniel, the wealthy frat boy, is arrested.
You were in pain.
It was excruciating. I'd never had pain like that before.
But just 2 days later, the unthinkable. Police let Daniel go free.
Before my injuries from that event were even healed, they decided that they weren't going to pursue any further action. It just blew my mind.
And you won't believe why. Abby says a detective calls her and says he heard her admit the sex with Daniel was consensual.
Do you go limp?
I did physically fall down to the floor. The things that he was saying to me were horrible and mean. He said that he'd heard me confessing that I was a liar and that I'd made it up. He told me over and over again that he had heard me say the word consensual, and I knew I would have never used that word.
Then Abby remembered a strange phone call she had with Daniel's roommate just hours after she'd been raped.
He said that he was confused, he wanted more information, and I felt really bad for him.
Why?
I couldn't imagine coming home and finding out that my roommate had been arrested for raping someone.
What Abby didn't know is their private call was being secretly recorded by one of Daniel's fraternity brothers.
He raped me a couple times.
And the phone call was a cruel setup.
The person who said the word consensual was on the other end of that phone.
Yes.
He raped me a couple times, and they said I want to go back to my friends. He wouldn't let me go back to my friends.
He didn't like grab you and bring you back to his place.
No, he just lied about why we were going there.
Okay.
It's like an interview.
So he
It's like an interview.
Do you remember having sex with him?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
I remember certain things. It wasn't like a miscommunication kind of thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He forced it.
Was violent about it. Yeah, I have a lot of injuries.
It's like an interrogation.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
It is. It really, in hindsight, was an interrogation. I just didn't know I was being interrogated.
And recorded.
Abby clearly tells the roommate she was raped. Then the conversation shockingly turns to Daniel.
I just want to tell you, Dan is a great kid. He's a very smart kid, has a lot going for him. And what he did, obviously, from what he explained, is terrible. But I do want you to think about what the consequences is with him and his future.
The only future they were concerned about was his, not yours.
Yeah.
But it was this moment right here that would change everything.
Now, did you guys have consensual sex, or was it?
Yeah.
You did.
That's it. Their version of the story is, you said yes, you answered to the question, consensual. Your response to that is what?
I did not hear the question the way it was asked. If you listen to the phone call, you can kind of hear that it is mumbled a little bit.
Consensual sex?
I don't remember what the word was that I thought they said. It was either like sexual or like actual. And so of course I said yes.
And you feel like they did that on purpose?
Absolutely. I'm crying about being raped. It doesn't make any sense.
But there was no confusion on the part of the police. That one word raised enough doubt to dismiss Daniel's rape charge.
So at that point, Daniel had just gotten away with it. Still living his life, gets out of jail, and he's partying.
Yeah.
You see him.
Yeah. I had friends post pictures with him on Instagram, Snapchat. I just was disgusted.
But while some cops didn't seem to believe Abby, there was one dogged investigator who realized both Daniel's story and the recording just didn't add up to a willing encounter.
This case was something you had never seen before.
No. This wasn't even a normal campus sexual assault. The violence involved in this was an unnatural level.
Lieutenant Kevin Randolph was a veteran sex crime investigator for the University of Minnesota.
Brutality.
Yeah, brutality. This is not something that happened consensually under any circumstances.
Lieutenant Randolph says he knew immediately when he read Abby's case file and heard that phone call, Abby had without a doubt been raped by Daniel.
I'm angry at this point because she clearly says twice at the beginning of the phone call, he raped me. And I thought, how can you listen to this and think this is a piece of evidence for the defense?
He says it's called a pretext call, and it's a dirty little trick used to get a confession.
These two guys, who had nothing to do with this incident to begin with, inserted themselves into it and derailed the case against Daniel Dromellum and left Abby Honold with no justice in her case.
Almost as if this may have been sort of scripted.
Exactly. Exactly.
Still, there was little Lieutenant Randolph could do to help Abby, unless they could find another victim of Daniel Dromellum's.
It's going to be a battle. It's going to be uphill, but it's got to be done. If I let this case go, sorry.
It's okay.
If I let this case go, then none of the other ones matter.
So together, they begin to fight for justice.
You went online, told your story. Not anonymously,
No.
and you didn't leave his name out.
Nope, I included his full name.
Daniel's attorney immediately threatened to sue Abby, so she took it down. But not before she got a hit.
The responses were?
Another victim of Daniel's messaged me right after I posted that. I found out that she had only been raped a month before I was. And I knew in that moment that there were more.
Up next, Lieutenant Randolph and Abby finally have the evidence they need to charge Daniel. There's just one problem. Now they can't find him.
She called me and said, he has left the country. We're never going to get him.